many people here probably aren't like me. They're probably not on the left. But I'm really on the left. If Hillary Clinton is left, then I'm not even on the scale. Or if Obama's on the left, I'm not on the scale either. You know, many of you, I think, probably would consider yourselves as paleo-conservatives, like real, true conservatives who are against foreign wars of aggression, who are against emptying the treasury to fight these foreign wars of aggression. But we have to build bridges because we have so much more in common than we do that separate us. And so, you know, people say, oh, I'm not coming to that event if Cindy Sheehan's speaking. And then I get people who say, why are you going to an event with conservatives? You know, because we're, like my documentary about Hugo Chavez, we're all Americans. You know, and we have to realize that it's the robber class versus the robbed class. And the robber class knows that they're fighting a war against us. And in fact, Warren Buffett said it. It's a class war, and my class, the wealthy class, we're the ones that are winning. So the robber class knows it's a class war. We want to think it's all different kinds of wars. We want to think it's about gender. We want to think it's about political parties. We want to think it's about religion. We want to think it's about gay or straight or whatever. Well, it's not. It's a class war. And we, in the same class, yeah, right on, it's a class war. We, in the same class, need to join with each other. And we need to forget about our differences, and we need to work on our commonalities to overcome the robber class. Now, the robber class knows one thing that we don't know, that there's way more of us than there are of them. And that's our strength. Our strength is our numbers, because we don't have the media, obviously. We don't have the banks. We don't have Wall Street. We don't have the military-industrial complex. We just have each other. And one thing about Venezuela is that the people have taken charge of that country. And the people took charge of that country from years and years and years of the oligarchy, or what I like to call the oilgarchy. This was what we have here in the US too, the oilgarchy. The people in Venezuela, you go up to someone in a barrio, they know way more about Rockefeller and the Council on Foreign Relations than the average American does, because they live it. It's their daily life. And so we need what President Chavez said, one of the pillars of power is people power. In Venezuela, they're lucky because they share power with the government, and we don't. We don't have anything to do with the federal government. We know that the lobbyists and the corporations are the ones who our federal government actually governs for, and they write their laws for, and they work for. So I'm going to tell you something that I'm doing, and I hope that all of you can join us. I have books. I'm making a movie. I have ways that people can support me, but I didn't lug them here because I was in South America. But what we're doing is we're going to set up a peace camp on the lawn of the Washington Monument. And if I remember back in summer of '05 when we had all this anti-war energy, that's what I wanted to do. I'm like, well, we need to take Camp Casey and we need to put it on George Bush's lawn. You know, he's leaving Crawford, we're leaving Crawford, but we can't give up. But what I call the peace industrial complex, you know, some of the organizations have a vested interest in not bringing true peace, or they're involved with the establishment and connected to the Democratic Party. That didn't happen. And so what they misused the energy of Camp Casey for was to elect Democrats. And look how well that's worked out for us so far. And so, I mean, we have a democratic tyranny in the government. I know this is probably not a popular subject, but if they really wanted single-payer health care, they could deliver single-payer health care to us, but they don't want it. If they really wanted to end the wars, they could end the wars. If they really wanted to take care of the first responders, they could. You know, there's a huge democratic tyranny in our government. There's no excuse for them not to pass progressive change. What they say, though, they'll blame it on the Republicans. The Republicans won't let us. F the Republicans. You know, we elected them for change. So it's just an excuse. They could pass anything they wanted if they really wanted to. So we're going to set up this camp on the lawn of the Washington Monument, which happens to be right across the street from the White House. We're calling it Camp Out Now. And we're actually setting it up on the 15th. What's today? Oh, shit. We're setting it up in 9 days. And it's going to be not temporary. It's not going to be for a day. It's not going to be for a week. It's not going to be for a month. You know, I think that a part of the peace industrial complex, their problem is that they like to march around in circles on a Saturday when there's nobody in D.C. You know, all the robber class politicians leave D.C., especially if they know there's going to be a big march. They're not going to hang around. And you know what else is a problem with those big marches? Say we have 500,000 people. People like the ABC station will say, oh, they had 10,000 people. And you know what else they do? They'll pick the craziest person at that march. And they'll run that person's picture over and over and over again. So marching on Saturday is a way to build solidarity. And I'm going to be at the March 20th march also on Washington, D.C. It's a way to build solidarity, but it's a way to prevent change. It's also a way to prevent true change. It's using resources, and we're not going to get true change. So we're not even going to do any actions on the weekends. We're going to go be tourists ourselves. Why should we do actions when Congress isn't or the president's not in session? Every day, we're going to take as many teams as we can, and we're going to shut that fucking city down. And yes. I wasn't the first one to drop the F-bomb today. I just want to point that out. But that's the only way for true change. And is to say, arrest us, put us in your jails, keep doing it over and over and over again. But we're not stopping until you stop. And that's one thing that the robber class has never had to face. A movement in a long time, a movement that was dedicated to true change and knows that it has to also sacrifice. When's the last time you heard a leader in this country talk about sacrifice? They don't talk about sacrifice. You know, George Bush told us to go shopping, travel, and that's what they're saying. We'll cure the economy. We can cure the economy if American people would just go out and go shopping again. We don't have any money. We don't have any jobs. Jobs is the key to, you can't have a recovery without jobs. How are we supposed to go shopping if we don't have any money? So we're going shopping for our very smallest basic necessities. So that's what we have to realize in the U.S. So that's coming back to how I started. The United States is barely 5% of the world's population, and we use between 25 and 40% of the world's resources.